Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm splendid. I'm excited to have a great guest today. You want to know who it is?
Who is it?
I thought you'd never ask. Shirley Aaron is who it is. I had to look on my page over here. We've got a book called Troubling the Ashes, and I'm excited to chat with her. It sounds like a fascinating story, and she was a teacher during desegregation, and she did the book is actually a novel, so it's based on things that really happened, but then she's got a storyline in there, kind of like Titanic, where, you know, Titanic really sank, but Jack and what was her name? Rose. Yeah, those guys might not have really been on there. So anyway, exciting story. A $20 million German lottery winner says he plans to build the world's largest pigeon coop.
Oh,
Isn't that what you
exactly
would do if you...
what you should do with your money.
If you won $20 million in the German lottery, why wouldn't you build a giant pigeon coop? Officials at a Stockholm hospital have asked a male nurse to change his name. It seems his name is Jesus, and he's not being asked to change because of religious concerns. It's because there are people in Stockholm, like when he's coming in to visit, apparently that concerns some of the people Jesus is coming in.
Geez.
So, I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know exactly what's going on there, but they're like, oh, Jesus was in here. It's not going to change if he changes his
Whatever.
name.
My gosh.
All right. Thanks for listening on a Monday. We've got some fun stuff to chat about here. Stick around.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today? Hopefully better than the days we had over the weekend.
Yeah, we had some kind of boring stuff. Monday, July the 11th, it is Bowdler's Day.
What is Bowdler's
I don't
Day?
know, Dad. Don't ask me this stuff. It's Cheer Up the Lonely Day.
That's nice.
Heidi, why don't you cheer up over there? You look kind of lonely.
I'm not lonely.
It is Day of the 5 Billion.
Okay, not sure what that means.
International Town Criers Day. So if that's your job as a town crier, you might want to cheer up. I know that's not what a town crier does. National Rainier Cherries Day, or Rainier Cherries Day, whatever. Slurpee Day, yeah, because it's 7-Eleven, see? And it's World Population Day. So all of that stuff going on today. It says that it's 7-Eleven's birthday today as well. So... Because
Maybe
behind
that's
Slurpee
why
Day,
it's named 7-Eleven.
I wonder if that is why. I never really even thought about it before, but there you go. That could be why. Coming up, we got some fun things to chat about on this Monday, the 11th day of July.
Whether you're an experienced shooter or someone new to self-defense, Front Sight Firearms Training Institute has a course for you. You may recognize Front Sight from their reality TV show filmed at this private range 45 minutes west of Las Vegas. A Diamond Lifetime membership is $15,000, but we have a special price of just $3,000 available now only at radiosavings.com. This lifetime membership allows you to take over 50 courses as often as you'd like at Front Sight Firearms Training Institute. Get this deal right now at radiosavings.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. An 8-year-old Iowa boy might have a better credit line than you do. Take a listen to this. Joe McInnes of Waukee, Iowa. He's too young to drive a car. Again, he's only 8, and he's a long way from voting. But he does have a new visa with a $5,000 credit limit.
Oh, my gosh.
Third grader received his credit card from First USA Bank Visa about a week ago. His parents are not confiscating the card either. They say Joe is responsible. Think he can handle it. So, I'm going to reach out to Joe and see if he wants to go get ice cream later. I can't afford ice cream, Joe, but I'll pick you up and we can go get ice cream. I think that's kind of interesting. Waukee, Iowa. I'm trying to figure out where that is. Because, you know, you're from Iowa. I know a lot of people in Iowa.
I don't know where Waukee is.
You know, maybe it's on the east side of
Must
Iowa.
Be.
Because you're from northwest Iowa.
Yeah.
So, don't know.
Must be.
Joe McInnes of Waukee, again, 8 years young, but he's got a $5,000 credit limit on his First USA Bank Visa.
All righty.
And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. New research suggests that smoking marijuana shrinks your brain literally. What do you think of that? Australia's University of Melbourne found that heavy marijuana use may shrink two important parts of the brain. Men who had smoked at least 5 joints a day on average for 20 years had a smaller hippocampus that regulates memory and emotion, and a shrunken amygdala. That thing.
I don't know.
It is involved in fear and aggression. A spokesperson for the U.S. group that promotes legalizing pot complained that the study concentrated on guys who were stoned all day long, not just casual users. He says the brain damage caused by comparable heavy use of booze or tobacco is off the charts more serious, and you don't need high-tech scans to find that. So there. So they're saying that, we knew that, but they were not using data from casual users. 5 joints a day for 20 years. That's Cheech and Chong kind of
That's
stuff.
a lot.
Willie Nelson. I don't know. I'm trying to think of somebody else. What's that guy's name? Snoop Dogg. Those people.
But the study is still relevant because
Yeah.
everyone says that it's harmless.
Yeah.
So it's clearly not harmless.
There you go. Must be harmful. Kids, this
Right.
is literally what happens when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Time now for your moment of duh. Kathleen Robertson of Austin, Texas, was awarded $80,000 by a jury of her peers after breaking her ankle tripping over a toddler who was running inside a furniture store.
Okay.
The store owners were absolutely and very understandably surprised by the verdict, considering the toddler that was running in the store was her kid. The lady that broke her ankle and sued the store tripped over her own child, and somehow a Texas jury gave her $80,000.
Cannot believe that.
That sounds like something that you'd see coming out of other states, but Texas, usually they're pretty level-headed. So I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on down there in Texas.
Wow.
So that's very shocking to me. Anyway, that's your little moment of duh for that jury in Texas.
Unless her toddler tripped on something that was on the floor in the store that shouldn't have been there, and that's how she tripped over her toddler. We don't know the whole story.
Yeah, that's true. So
Because the toddler could have tripped on something that was, or slipped on a wet floor or whatever, and then the mother tripped over the toddler. We don't know what happened.
See? This makes sense now. Okay, Heidi. You just won 5 points right there for thinking outside the box. All right, we have your scoop of the day. That is on the way. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. I actually have a link to this on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show, because it's interesting. It says, the sea might just be watching you. By training fish to spit at photos of human faces, a new study has found that one species of tropical fish has the ability to distinguish one face from another. The study discovered archer fish are able to recognize faces with a fair amount of accuracy. The fish were able to spot the right face 81% of the time, Heidi.
Wow.
And their accuracy improved to 86% when the researchers used a set of black and white images. So if it was
So who's got this kind of time? I mean, why on earth were you thinking, hey, I wonder if these fish can spit at a certain person?
I don't know.
What would be the benefit in knowing
They're
this?
trying to determine whether or not fish recognize. I don't know why
But
they
who
had them
cares?
spitting on it.
Even if they could, what are they going to do with that knowledge?
Use it to create another
Train
Finding
them
Dory.
to go after dictators of other countries or something?
Yes. They're going to have
Killer fish?
Archer fish are going to be not Navy SEALs, Navy archer fish. That's what they'll be. All right. Office workers who are depressed are twice as likely to call in sick and miss work as their happier colleagues. Who needed to do a study for that?
Really? You suppose?
That's why you're calling in
Good
sick.
Lord.
Interesting news here. This was on the internet last week. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
I like him.
I do too. He says someday he might run for president. Now, I would throw a joke.
You know what? I would vote for him.
I was going to just say I'd throw a joke in right about now, but about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, if somebody said Donald Trump was going to run for president, there would have been a joke involved. Now he's the front runner, so I don't know.
I would vote for The Rock. He's a smart guy, and he's very kind.
He seems like a very nice man. I don't know him. I've never met him, but from the interviews that I've seen.
Right.
And
He's a good man.
Yeah, it seems like a nice dude. USA Today reports that super bacteria has been found in venues for the Rio Olympics. Sailors and health experts have voiced concerns about the pollution issues in the waters that encompass Rio Olympics for their sailing venue. So they're saying it's not necessarily a tidy, clean place. They had some major cleanup to do to get ready for the Olympics, and a lot of the stuff that they were trying to get done just didn't get done. So it's kind of sad. Homeland Security Department once asked a group of science fiction writers to help them dream up ways that terrorists might attack America. This is the second time they've done this. So they've
a good idea.
reached out and said, hey, pretend like you're writing a novel or a scary story, and what would the bad guys do to attack us? Because you know what?
That's a good idea because that's how they're coming up with their ideas too. They're just
Exactly.
dreaming up stuff. So it's a good idea.
There's a shortage of anesthesiologists in America. So
Oh.
much so, hospitals are asking colleges to encourage students to step into the field. Now, this is not new. When I was graduating from high school, there was a shortage back then because I remember they were trying to convince me to be an anesthesiologist.
You
And
should have.
I
You know
said,
how
"Well, I
much more
can't
money
even-
you'd be making right
I can't
now?"
even spell it, so there's no way I could do it." But it really, I think that would be a fabulous thing for people to do. I believe we have a neighbor that's an anesthesiologist.
We do.
So, everybody, it's okay. I'm an anesthesiologist. All right, if you want to know how long Grandpa is going to live, check his pace of walking. A journal of the American Medical Association found a strong correlation between walking speed and expected survival rates for people over the age of 65. Analysis from 9 studies show faster walking speed among older adults is associated with an increased length of survival. This is bad news for me. I could be gone by the end of this program.
You really could. You like dilly dally.
I'm not in a big rush. We're
We're walking along, and everybody's like, "Where's Dad?" And we'll look back.
back
Oh, he's
here.
way back there.
Just kind of checking things out. U.S. soldiers are going to the extremes, taking diet pills and laxatives, even starving themselves, and getting liposuction to meet the military's weight standards. According to the Army Times, more than a third of uniformed men and women do not meet the Army's weight standards. According to a recent military fitness report, those officers are subjected to a dreaded tape measure to determine body fat percentage. If soldiers exceed the body fat limits, they cannot earn leadership roles or promotions. I think, fair is fair, we should do the same thing to Congress. I mean, seriously, you guys want to set regulations like that for the people who are out there on the front line? Okay, Congress, you guys don't get paid if you weigh too much either. I just, fair is fair, right? All right. Coming up, we got a special guest. That's on the way. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This has been quite an election so far, and we've got a long ways to go. Stay informed at politicalstorm.com. It's a cool site with political news and information on the campaigns, plus a place to chime in and have a say in what you think. If you're into politics, you need to check out politicalstorm.com. Get informed from several different sources all in one place. Listen to podcasts like mine and learn about current election topics, read fun editorials, and engage your brain. It's your country. It's your vote. It's your voice. Politicalstorm.com. That's politicalstorm.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us today. We're going to be visiting with an author of a book. The book is called Troubling the Ashes, and the author is Shirley A. Aaron. Shirley, how are you today?
I'm doing fine.
Now, anybody that turns on the news these days, they'll watch on a news program. Typically, they'll see at least one story that has something to do with racial tension that's going on in our country. And this is nothing new. What happened in Ferguson, that's something, even though it was a year ago, a little over a year ago now, this stuff has been going on for a little while. And you've got a book that kind of talks about a chapter in our country's history that you actually lived in this chapter for a while, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Now, let's talk about your background. I see you're a retired teacher. Where did you teach?
I began teaching in Macon County, Alabama, where the incident occurred, where the desegregation of schools in Alabama first began. In 1962, Fred Gray, a civil rights attorney, and I'm sure many of your audience probably knows Fred,
Yeah.
filed a desegregation lawsuit, Lee versus Macon County Board of Education, to desegregate the all-white school, Tuskegee High School. And they desegregated it, and Wallace shut it down. And legally, Governor Wallace did not have the authority to do that. And District Court Judge Fred Johnson, and Fred Gray decided to split the 12 plaintiffs and send 6 to Shorter, Alabama, and 6 to Notasulga, Alabama. And my story picks up with the students who go to Notasulga to desegregate the Notasulga school system.
So as we're reading your book, it's based on true events. Is everything in the book something that really happened, or did you have a little bit of author liberty in there to kind of make it the way you wanted it to?
I took some liberty, but now the part that concerns Lee versus Macon and its history, and the characters, the public characters, Governor Wallace, Jim Clark, who was the sheriff of Dallas County. Remember Salmon and Montgomery? He was the bad guy. And Vernon Merritt, who was a photojournalist from Montgomery and became very famous taking photos of the Vietnam War and the Civil Rights Movement. And Judge Johnson, Fred Gray, all of those people, I use their real names.
Yeah.
And those instances pertaining to them, that's true. Of course, the long dialogue that Vernon Merritt has with federal marshals as they rush him back to Tuskegee after Jim Clark had beaten him almost to death, I made that dialogue up.
Okay.
But all of that's true. And then there are several instances. Once the superintendent, Marty Jane Steele, and her husband, Winston Steele, go to Macon County for Winston to interview for the job as football coach at Notasulga High School. And this occurs 3 years after the school was burned. The school was burned in April 1964, 2 months after the students desegregated Notasulga. And the school was built back and was ready by 1965. And we go there in 1967 and lived there for 14 years. And Fred Gray had asked Judge Johnson, after Tuskegee High School was closed by Wallace, Fred Gray went to Judge Johnson and asked him to desegregate every public school in Macon County. And very few people know this, but he also asked Judge Johnson to desegregate every public educational institution in the state of Alabama, from K through college. And at the time, Judge Johnson said, I'll give you Macon County, but I won't give you Alabama, because a lot of really bad things were happening. And it would have been like loading a Boeing 747 with fuel and sending it to hell.
Yeah.
So he only desegregated Macon County, but in 1967, the year that I went there to live, Judge Johnson added 90-something schools in Alabama as defendants in Lee versus Macon and gave them until 1972 to completely desegregate. And the one thing that I'm proud about that I mentioned in the book is this town that burned a school 2 months after it was integrated in order to stop desegregation and in order to prevent those students from graduating from what was an all-white school. That school checked off everything that Judge Johnson had required in his order, which was actually the requirements from the 1954 desegregation lawsuit that Brown versus Board of Education out of Arkansas during the Eisenhower years.
Yeah.
And Notasulga was the only school in Alabama that got everything right the first time.
Nice.
And there are still 11 school systems in Alabama that are under Lee versus Macon. So some school systems in Alabama still haven't gotten it right.
The book is called Troubling the Ashes. Again, we're visiting with the author, Shirley A. Aaron. Shirley, how long did it take to put this book together?
Well, actually, it didn't take very long. I got on Facebook in 2013, and January 2014, I sat down at the computer, and I said to my Facebook friends, I'm going to tell you a story about Notasulga. And each day, I would type a little bit. And they began to say, you've got to publish this book. It's got to be a book. So then I decided, well, if I'm going to publish this, I need to do some research and get my facts straight and make sure my ducks are in a row. So I did really extensive research. It's a story that reveals how anger and fear bring out the evil in people, how it can bring out racism and injustice and discrimination. And all of these things result in violence. And or it can, in some cases in Alabama, it resulted in a violation of one's voting rights.
Wow.
And in the division of families and churches and communities. The desegregation of Notasulga High School created a division in Notasulga among families, the churches, the community, the schools, and it was a wound that took a long, long time to heal. And there's still some racism there, but it's toned down a little bit, which I think is true throughout America. They've toned it down, but every now and then it pops up its ugly head.
Yeah. Now, you had mentioned that even churches. Now, just a year ago, there was a movie that came out called Woodlawn. Have you seen the movie Woodlawn by chance?
I haven't, but I'm moved to see it.
It is a fascinating movie, and it's based on a true story as well from in that same neighborhood in that same time frame. And it talked about how religion helped pull a town together, and it was absolutely fascinating. And again, it's based on a true story. The man who was in the movie that was played by Sean Astin in the movie, I had a chance to meet him. Fascinating man, really, really cool story. And as soon as you and I started talking about this, it reminded me of scenes from that movie, things that happened there. So I think you would absolutely love it. Again, it's called Woodlawn.
I'd like to see it because, as you know, Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail, he was in jail for participation in a nonviolent demonstration against segregation.
Yeah.
And he wrote that letter in response to, it was a public statement of concern and caution which was issued to 8 white religious leaders in the South. It wasn't to the general public. And he said that, these 8 white religious leaders called King activity unwisely and untimely, and his response was that when is the time to do it?
Yeah.
Jesus acted whenever he needed to act. He didn't pick and choose a special time. And they referred to King as an outsider coming in to Birmingham. And he responded by saying that the Southern Christian Leadership Association operated in every state, therefore he was not an outsider. And he went on to state in the letter that he was in Birmingham because injustice was there. And he talked about Jesus and other leaders. And he said they took their message beyond boundaries of their hometown.
Yeah.
And he, too, called the message, the gospel of freedom beyond his hometown of Atlanta, that he was behaving as Jesus behaved. He was carrying the message of justice and equality beyond the borders of his town. And it's a very powerful letter, but it's written to religious leaders. And if you look back at the history of the church in the South especially, and in the U.S. too, I guess, because racism in the U.S. could not have thrived if institutions hadn't perpetuated discrimination against people of color.
Well, and
the church played roles in maintaining slavery and segregation in the South. And in 1955, the Methodist Church and the Catholic Church and the Baptist Church of the South apologized to African Americans for the way they had treated them and the role that they had played in racism and discrimination. And I bring that out, and there's a scene of the minister in my book, the Methodist minister, and I'm Methodist. Love the Methodist Church, but I go after them in this book because they were wrong in what they did. Locking the doors so that an African American couldn't come into the service. The scene of the two little girls who are on the cover, the little white girl and the little African American girl, has to do. The little white girl is the Methodist minister's daughter, and the little African American girl, Sweet, is the daughter of a character I created, Willie Mae Hurston and Mose Hurston. And Sweet's mom and dad were beaten by the KKK as they returned from the Selma to Montgomery March. And as a result of the beating, Sweet's mother dies, and her dad goes in the Army, and Sweet goes to live with her grandparents, Mose and Willie Mae Hurston, and all that I made up. That's totally fiction.
Well, it sounds like a fascinating story. Sounds absolutely fascinating. The book is called Troubling the Ashes, and we're talking with Shirley Aaron right now, the author. Shirley, where can we find a copy of this book?
It's on Amazon. It's online at Amazon, Books A Million, and Barnes & Noble.
Well, thank you again for taking some time to visit with us. We really, truly appreciate that. Again, the book is called Troubling the Ashes, and our guest today has been Shirley Aaron. Thank you for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Do you buy lottery tickets? Maybe you wait till the jackpot is big, then you buy one. I was like that too. Like my odds got better because the jackpot was more. Well, I think I found something that actually will give me a better chance to win. It's called Lotto-licious. I learned about this from Richard Lustig. He literally wrote the book on how to win the lottery, and he should know. He's a 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Richard plays and endorses Lotto-licious, and I just signed up too. I'd love it if you join Richard and I. You can play Powerball and Mega Millions without even going to the store. Sign up right now at RadioLottoPool.com.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There is a town in Texas called Ding Dong.
Okay.
How would you like to be the mayor of Ding Dong, Texas? Hey, Mayor Ding Dong, get over here. Fun fact for you, Heidi. Rugby, North Dakota is the geographical center of North America. That doesn't seem right. Doesn't it seem like that's way too high?
I don't know.
That's the center of North America. You got to remember, Canada is in there and Mexico is in there. Now, another fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Butte County, South Dakota is the geographic center of the United States. So that seems a lot higher than I would have guessed it, too. That's my home state, by the way. The world's largest McDonald's is in Vinita, Oklahoma. It goes over I-44 from one side of the interstate to the other, and people drive under it, which is kind of crazy. So you drive through, do you just drop bags of food out when you're driving?
That'd be fun.
Okay, coming up, we got those guys that ordered the McCheese. Drop it now. All right, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There's one state that has no counties. You know what state that is?
No.
It is Louisiana, because they
They're
have
parishes.
Parishes, yeah.
I knew they had
There you go.
parishes.
See, that's a couple of fun facts for you right here on a Monday.
Whether you're an experienced shooter or someone new to self-defense, Front Sight Firearms Training Institute has a course for you. You may recognize Front Sight from their reality TV show filmed at this private range 45 minutes west of Las Vegas. A Diamond lifetime membership is $15,000, but we have a special price of just $3,000 available now only at radiosavings.com. This lifetime membership allows you to take over 50 courses as often as you'd like at Front Sight Firearms Training Institute. Get this deal right now at radiosavings.com.
All right, this is something it's hard for me to even talk about because I know Heidi's going to attack me about this, but Red Book put out some tips on how to say no politely.
Okay.
Because I'm not good
You
at
have
no.
troubles with that.
The stalling no. Try this technique if you're the type of person who tends to get carried away by the enthusiasm of a person making the request. You say yes only to realize when you walk away that you really wish you hadn't agreed. Instead, play for time by saying, wow, that sounds fun or interesting, but I need to check my calendar or talk to my husband or talk to my wife or talk to my neighbor.
wife.
Talk to somebody. I need to talk to somebody that's going to talk me out of this. Let me get back to you. How about a partial no? This isn't saying no. This method is a good compromise. If you don't feel right delivering a blanket no to somebody, it allows you to help somebody out, but on your own terms. Gee, I can't lick the envelopes all day, but I could from 9 to 10. The pronto no, a short explanation of your refusal as in, because I have to help my sister out that day. So I can't. I got to do this instead. Make your business sound more genuine, your busyness rather, sound more genuine, but cut off cut yourself off quickly. A long-winded explanation annoys the other person, and it sounds like you're making up a cover story, because you probably are. Yeah, I really can't help you that day. See, June 15th every year is the year that we have our annual meeting of the once-a-year meeting of people who can't say no unless we come to these meetings.
Or just say no.
Yeah,
just say no.
The wistful no. You'll like this tactic if you're naturally effusive and eager to show people how helpful you wish you could be.
Oh, I'd love to.
Man, I would love. Oh, that
My
sounds great.
gosh, I would
wish
love
I could
to.
watch your kids today. They're so cute. I always have a great time with them. I'm sorry, I just can't do it this time. The empathetic no. If you pride yourself on maintaining a strong emotional connection with people, this one here is, I can see that you really need someone to water your potted plants while you're away for a month, but these plants mean a lot to you. Unfortunately, I'm just too busy that time of
I
year
just
to
don't
do
have a
it.
green thumb, and you'd come back to dead plants.
You don't
That's
want
what
to
I
do
would
that.
say, because I
There's
don't.
a couple other no's I should get to quick. The stealth no. This one is, it says write out a script. That sounds like a lot of work. The sympathy card no. If you're overwhelmed, don't tell them no. Send them a no. So you send them a card saying, I am so sorry I couldn't do it. Thank you for thinking of me. It means a lot. Here's a card. I'm not going to do it.
Or just say no.
Heidi's good at saying no. She tells me no every day.
Just say no. Just say,
Numerous times a day.
I really wish I could, but I just don't want
You don't
to.
even say that. You're like, just go to sleep.
I would, but I have a headache.
You don't even say that anymore. We're married. That's what we're talking about. All right. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.
Hey, this is Tim from Hope and Faith Machine Works. Are you having one of these days?
How in the world am I going to do that?
Or even,
If I could just have this, my life would be so much easier.
well, this kind of stuff is my specialty. At Hope and Faith Machine Works, we work with anyone who needs something built, fabricated, or just done right. We've done medical, industrial, PLC, and prototype designs. You can reach us at yourhopeourfaith.com. That's yourhopeourfaith.com.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. For those of you who are in a book club, and maybe the summertime is just a tough time for you to get together, to read books, you got other stuff going on, maybe you could still have your book club meeting this month, but you just got to pick the right book. I have a book for you. If you're looking to curl up this summer with a really easy read, check out Lost for Words from author Anne Lydiot. It's comprised of 52 blank pages. It's currently available. I don't know if it's on the bestseller list, but $15 is what it costs.
Are you kidding?
Lydiot is a university lecturer, and she's already planning a sequel. Lost for Words 2, maybe? I have no idea. All I know is this is a brilliant idea. Why didn't I get in on this whole blank book thing? I could do mine, Everything Men Know About Women. That'd be a good one. That'd be a good blank book, because we don't know nothing. You look speechless.
I'm disgusted.
Are you lost for words?
I just cannot believe that some. Oh, no, I'm very rarely lost for words.
Just
But the
lost
words
for
that
words
I would like to
you can't
use,
say
I
on the air?
cannot say on the radio because
Then
the FCC
We're going to just move
says
on.
no.
Coming up, we've got a guy that tries to protest gas prices.
And it's
but
no, I don't
hurts
think it's
himself.
a coincidence that her last name is Idiot if you take the L out.
And I might be saying it wrong. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
All right, take a listen to this headline, Heidi. Man torches his BMW to protest gas prices. Yeah. What the what?
Wow.
Now, by the way, America's not the only country that has higher gas prices in the summertime. In Berlin, a 30-year-old man doused his BMW with gasoline and torched it at a protest, skyrocketing fuel costs.
Okay, but that's only hurting him. He's
don't
destroying
understand.
his car.
He pulled it up outside of Frankfurter's convention center, doused it with gasoline,
my
and set fire to it.
gosh.
He told police that gas prices were so high he could no longer afford to drive it anyway. A gallon of gas there runs about $9.40.
Yeah.
So next time you complain about our gas, he may be charged with violating German environmental laws where penalties range from fines to up to 5 years in prison. Yeah. Now let's look around the world and see where gas prices are in other places. Just to give you an idea, other countries, in Bosnia, they pay $10.86 a gallon. Norway, $9.73 a gallon. The UK, $9.45. France, $9.43. And the countries with the cheapest gas, 12 cents a gallon in Venezuela.
Yeah. Yeah?
Iran, 40 cents a gallon.
Yeah, you know why.
Saudi Arabia, 45 cents a gallon. far fewer taxes.
And they have the oil.
Yeah, it's their gas, so that probably helps.
And we have gas in this country. We're just not.
We have oil here.
We have oil. We're just not mining it.
Well, I don't think it's called mining it.
Isn't it?
No, it's drilling.
Drilling for oil?
Yeah,
mining, drilling.
Either way. We sound really stupid.
Or collecting.
It's because... Pumping it. All right, moving on. Thanks for listening to the very educated
Pipelining the oil.
John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This has been quite an election so far, and we've got a long ways to go. Stay informed at politicalstorm.com. It's a cool site with political news and information on the campaigns, plus a place to chime in and have a say in what you think. If you're into politics, you need to check out politicalstorm.com. Get informed from several different sources all in one place. Listen to podcasts like mine and learn about current election topics, read fun editorials, and engage your brain. It's your country. It's your vote. It's your voice. Politicalstorm.com. That's politicalstorm.com.
John and Heidi.
You know, I was thinking about something. There's a lot of websites that I've heard of that I've never, ever been to. And here's one of them, Edmunds. Have you heard of them? It's a car shopping site.
I've not.
I've never been there, but they offered up some myth-busting tips to help drivers save gas. We were just talking a little bit ago about how expensive gas can be in the summertime. Well, they say cars are now so aerodynamic and air conditioners are so efficient, it makes no difference whether you run the AC or roll down the windows. When I was a kid, we could never run the AC because my dad would say it was too expensive. So we'd have to roll the windows down, and it'd be like 900 degrees out. We're driving along with just, hot air blowing on us.
6 kids in a car.
Yeah. I was like, This is not helping. Turn on the AC. Oh, we can't afford to run the AC. Well, they're saying nowadays you can. It doesn't really make a big difference. Today's cars use far more gas if you let them idle for a few minutes while stopped. It says if you're pulling up somewhere, turn the car off.
Yeah.
It used to be they'd say, well, when you restarted, it wastes so much gas. Well, they don't do that anymore. The number one gas waster is frequent braking and acceleration. Use the cruise control. And then the last thing on the list is if you're carrying too much junk in your trunk, that could be adding all kinds of weight to the vehicle, and that affects the mileage. And I believe they're speaking about your physical trunk in your car, but I also think that they
mean both. But
if you have too much junk in your trunk, too.
We couldn't even fit groceries in our car the other day because of all the crap you have in the back of our vehicle.
Well, I got stuff I was doing, and I have a lot of stuff I have some junk in my trunk.
Yeah.
And my vehicle does, too. So, yeah, I had a lot of stuff in there. I forgot that it was in there, and we went to get groceries, and we come out, I'm like, oh, hey, it would be wonderful if we could put those in back here. Guess we're going to have to sit them on all these speakers and stuff. All right, coming up, we've got some good news. That is on the way on a Monday edition of the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think this is good news. It's just one of those feel-good, kind of neat, makes you wonder how in the world this would happen kind of stories.
Okay.
I like those. Twin sisters Sarah Maras and Leah Rogers have always been on the same page, and apparently their new babies are too. According to Today, the identical twins are 35, and they each gave birth to their first child late last week. The babies were born at exactly the same time in each respective time zone. Rogers gave birth first, welcoming a baby boy at 1:18 a.m. in Denver, Colorado. And then the Maras' daughter was born at 1:18 a.m. in California. The sisters and the new moms told Today that they are thrilled by the coincidence, but not at all surprised by it. Isn't that just kind of neat?
That's weird.
That they both had their kids on the exact same day. So they're twin sisters, and now these are going to be kind of like twin cousins because they're born at the exact same time on the same day. So wasn't there a movie about that? Patty Duke, wasn't she identical cousins?
Wonder if they
or
were
something?
on a double date and were getting busy at the same time, too.
No, would you? Why is it that you would think of that?
Well, they would have to be.
No.
At about the same time.
About the same time.
Yeah,
It's like a family reunion. We all went home early. Like, hey, guess where we're going? I'm going to rush back to my room, too. I have no idea. Have no clue. All I know is I think it's a neat story. And if you'd like to read the whole thing and get all the details, I don't think it talks about if they had some sort of special hookup. I don't think they did. But you could find it. It's on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.